It was my sophomore year of high school, around 2004 to 2005, and I had signed up for French class. The teacher was very popular among students. He was known as the cool, funny teacher who would joke around and make students laugh. I personally enjoyed his class. Throughout the year, here and there he would make a comment about my choice of clothing or my music. Apparently he was a huge fan of the 80s metal I'd be blaring sometimes. I'd usually smart off to him, but in a joking way, so he and the class would laugh, and it just made the class more fun. So anyways, after I started my junior year, I heard he had been fired or resigned. I can't remember which. I remember being curious and asking some classmates if they had heard about it and knew where he left. Most of them heard that some girls on the softball team reported him for making them feel uncomfortable. I remember being shocked and wondering if it was true, but life went on. I graduated, went to college, got married, etc. One early day in 2012, my husband and I had gone to the grocery store. It was uneventful. We walked around and talked while we were getting what we needed. As we were checking out, my husband said an employee kept looking over at me. I looked to see who he was talking about. It was my old French teacher. He came over and said hi and asked how we were doing. He shook my husband's hand and I asked how he was doing. He said something along the lines of, "I'd figured I'd just come over to say hi and see how you've been doing. I think about you a lot." I don't know if he meant to say that last part, and I remember thinking it was weird at the time. I thought surely he didn't mean it in a weird way. Maybe he said that about all of his students. Over the next couple of years, we'd occasionally bump into him when we go grocery shopping. He'd come over and talk to us every time. I remember one time we were hanging out with my husband's friend and his wife, and somehow the topic of stalkers and weirdos came up. My husband told them about my French teacher at the store and said something like, "Yeah, every time he sees her, he drops what he's doing, literally, and goes out of his way to talk to her." My husband says I don't notice him do it, but there were a couple of times where he'd come running, literally, across the store to us. By this point, whenever we would see him, he would try to strike up conversations, and he would try to keep it going. Like he wouldn't just give a casual greeting anymore. He wanted to keep talking while we just wanted to get what we needed from the store and get out. At the time, I didn't really find it creepy. I thought he was just really annoying and couldn't take a hint. Eventually, I went in one day and I was heavily pregnant with my oldest son. So I was tired and cranky and really hoping that he wasn't working that day. I turned to go down the chips aisle and he was standing there. He started to turn his head towards me, and before I could stop myself, I groaned and said, "God damn it," and turned and walked off. To my relief, though, he didn't follow me or anything. I remember seeing him at the store one more time after that. It was after my son was born, and he saw us and came over to us. I remember lifting the car seat over so we could get a glimpse of him. I remember him congratulating us and going on his way. I never saw him again after that.